Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Grijalva, and members of the subcommittee. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Ronald Liesemer. I am Vice President of Citizens for Access to the Lakeshore, an all-volunteer group of citizens formed in 2002 in response to threatened diminishment of public access at Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore. My remarks will describe the 9-year effort that led to this legislation. I will explain why it is needed and ask you to support it. We're grateful to the bill's sponsors, Representative Bill Huizenga and Representative Dave Camp, who represent the two counties wherein the park is located, the bill's 7 co-sponsors in the House, and our 2 senators who have sponsored an identical bill in the Senate. The effort has been bicameral and bipartisan since inception. The park is young. After a decade of opposition in the 1960s, incorporation into the national park system began with enabling legislation in 1970. Around the year 2000, local communities learned that the Park Service intended to close county roads, which provided the only vehicular access to the beaches. Only those strong enough to hike and backpack would be able to cover the miles involved to get to the starting point for their activity. The Park Service answered that changes were mandated by Congress. A wilderness study done in 1981 recommended over half the park be designated wilderness despite county roads and buildings. In 1982, the park's enabling legislation was open to address problems and to instruct the Park Service to maintain lands within the 1981 wilderness study. The outcome created de facto wilderness without public input procedures required by the Wilderness Act. Our organization brought these problems to our elected officials. The Park Service appointed a new superintendent and assistant superintendent who immediately began talking and listening to people's concerns at every Rotary Club and township meeting possible. In 2006, they began developing a new general management plan and wilderness study, soliciting public input extensively. In 2009, a new general management plan and wilderness study were adopted. Both are enthusiastically supported by a vast majority of the park's stakeholders. The newly proposed wilderness assures public access and resource protection. However, because of the 1982 statute, a new plan cannot be fully implemented until Congress corrects the 1981 wilderness study by formally designating the access-friendly wilderness boundaries recommended in the new study. H.R. 977 does just that. Let me close by summarizing 3 points. This is a win-win for proponents of wilderness and conservation, as well as for those who want public access and varied recreational usage. 2, the process that enabled consensus is a good model, not only for the Park Service, but anywhere government and citizens interface on tough issues. And 3rd, and most important, we respectfully ask the subcommittee to report it to the committee and then on to the House. I thank you for the opportunity to speak to this subcommittee.